And we have liftoff. Liftoff of mission 41B.
But once any
you
nation...
do not have a monopoly on patriotism.
Ghostbusters. He has a record of weakness.
But the honors prevailed and truly worthy of the championship.
We shall prevail.
In 1984, people over 50, and the things that were needed by them that weren't being accomplished, that there was nothing out there to help them. And I decided I wanted to start something, and the best thing to start was CARP. I got about 10 people to become members, and that was the nucleus of CARP. It was really an adventure, but it was one that was worthwhile, and it was one that was needed. Seniors were the forgotten area of Canada, and seniors were the upcoming group in Canada, and they needed help with many things. In 1984, pressure rose to change RRSPs, so we changed them so that you could pull money out if you needed it, and that was one of the first things that we did. If you didn't have the funds and you needed a medicine, either you ate, or you didn't pay your rent, or you got your medication. That wasn't right. People were living on their pensions. The pensions weren't enough to live on. CARP is there to make sure that what is needed is looked at. We can't always do things about it, but it's good to recognize that these needs are there, and that is an essential part of CARP.
When Paul Martin, as the Prime Minister of Canada, came to our office to discuss what for the seniors' problems, that made me feel great, because now Ottawa was coming to CARP. We were recognized as being a good lobby group for the seniors.
We had done it for many, many years. I think that we needed a new look, a new feeling. Moses seemed the perfect one to do it, because he had ideas.
He has all the technology behind him, and the spirit and the gumption to do it. By changing the name, for example, to Zoomer, gives the idea that it's something fresh, something new.
Older people are going to be here forever, so CARP should be here forever.
Hello, I'm General Richard Romer, and I'm on CARP's advisory board.
Hello, I'm Gail Hinchleff, an Alberta-based developer and operator of seniors housing, and I'm on CARP's advisory board.
Hello, I'm Pier Giorgio Di Cicco, Poet Laureate of the City of Toronto. I'm on CARP's advisory board.
I'm Monica Diol, and I'm on CARP's advisory board.
Hello, I'm Dan Braniff, and I'm chair of the Georgian Bay chapter of CARP. We're one of the larger chapters in Canada. I'm also on the advisory board.
Hello, I'm Larry Campbell, and I'm on CARP's advisory board.
Hello, I'm Ron Keaston. I'm on CARP's advisory board.
Hello, I'm David Crombie, and I'm on CARP's advisory board.
My name's Colin Powell. I'm on CARP's advisory board.
I'm here I would like to underwrite again the notion that besides all those things, older people are the treasure of our society.
When you can say today that you took a poll yesterday, and this is what 5,000 people said in answer to these questions, that gives you credibility you can't get any other way.
Not only are people getting older, the demographics are moving older generally, but those people are active and healthy and interested. And their interests are increasingly dominating what the interest in the country is going to be. And politicians are slow to recognize this, as are advertisers, as we all know. But they better start paying attention, because that's an increasing group, and it's increasingly interested in interesting group.
For a long time, people had a fairly stolid notion of what being old was about. And it was bound to change. It's probably changed over, but only not very perceptibly over many generations. But new technology, the boomer generation itself, I'm not one of them. I'm a little older than the boomer generation. So I can see them with a third eye. And they have changed, the boomer generation has changed all of society's furniture as it marched through as the big generation. In some sense, the redefinition, the reinvention of what aging Canadians are about is now in our time, and it's a piece of magic.
In 2008-2009, one of the greatest achievements was getting an actual change to the law. Both at the federal level, we got the 25% reduction in mandated RIF withdrawals. And in the Ontario budget, there was some relief for lift holders where there was some additional unlocking of their funds. So there have been movements in that way. This year, I think the most important advance for CARP was that we were able to actually get our name out there associated with some of the larger advocacy issues that we've been concerned about. And the biggest one was, of course, pension reform. There was really a critical mass of people out there talking about the need for retirement security. And so when CARP came forward with some proposals for pension reform, as well as a universal pension plan for those people who don't have any retirement savings at all, it caught a moment. That meant that we were able to push the agenda forward much more. There was a parliamentary vote that took place in June that dealt with retirement security. And on a Saturday night, we called out and said, you know, there's a parliamentary vote coming forward on Tuesday. If you want to let people know that you care about the issue of retirement security and you want your MPs to vote for this motion, then you should use our e-voice vehicle and do so. And within 2 business days, some 6,000 people sent emails to the MPs, with the result that on that Tuesday, there was the vote and it passed by 294 to nothing. I'm making it my priority this year to get out to as many of our local chapters as possible, and with their help, reach the local political representatives. And I was just recently, starting with the East Coast, just recently in Newfoundland, where I met with the Minister of Finance and got a very warm reception there. And these are people who are well briefed on our issues. They have local priorities, of course, but I think that they're more ready to act. I think they're closer to their people than the national politicians, it seems to me. And for that reason alone, it's worth our while to really develop our advocacy at the local level. So that really is going to be my priority for the ensuing year. Looking forward, I think CARP's primary goal is going to be to push ahead on a number of issues that we've already presented, because frankly, they're not done yet. Pension reform is still on the table, and actually our job is to make sure it doesn't fall off the table, because the politicians are not that motivated to make any real change. It seems to be too complicated for them. So we're going to have to keep holding their feet to the fire. We need to deepen our strength within the provincial legislatures and at the municipal level, identifying the kinds of issues that will have resonance with them at the provincial levels. And one of those areas is healthcare at the provincial level. At the municipal level, one of our major issues is whether or not the cities can even lay claim to being age-friendly. Now that means that they really have to reshape how they look at the vision for their city. We know that all politics essentially is local, and it means that we have to identify those kinds of issues that will engage people so that they will support a vision that will help all Canadians as we age.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling CARP Consumer. Ashley speaking. How may I help you? Sure. No problem. May I start with your postal code, please?
Well, we had our outsourcing of our call center this year. Outsourcing all of our call center, our mail operations, and all of our fulfillment. We're taken off-site. Used to be at the CARP office. If you look around here, you can see we've got professional operations. We've got people answering the telephone. All the material is scripted. The calls, the inbound calls, are recorded for quality control. And they have a prompt on the screen that tells them about latest offers, anything special, like for example, if the Zoomer show is coming along, or if the CARP conference is coming along, they'll know about it, and then they can tell their members or the people that are calling if they're interested in participating, things of that nature. The other major improvement we had this year was our membership benefits handbook, where that handbook was taken, was a really thin looking little book before, fit into a number 10 envelope. We've now expanded the piece, talked more about some of the things we had going on with our membership programs, some of our benefits programs, and allowed the piece to breathe a little bit and have a little more color, a little more life to it, a little more lifestyle oriented. And that's made the piece look a little bit more professional. Personalization is a trend that is much easier today with digital technology. At one point in time, it wasn't feasible. We had to always talk to our members on the basis of "Dear member," "Hello member," "Dear member," "Did you know this, that, and the other?" Today, we can actually personalize it and make them feel as though they're part and parcel of what we're doing, and they're connected to our enterprise. It'll make things like the March to a Million easier if we can refer to people by their first names, or by their, by their spouse's name, or their partner's name, or whoever's living with them in the household. Plus, we've added a little CARP pin in there, and I think that'll make it look nice. Those were areas where we decided to spend a little bit more money. So overall, our cost has probably not changed a great deal, but I think the overall quality of our user experience is going to be much better.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
This year we introduced 2 new programs. We had a new travel partner come on board, Carlson Wagonly, that's been doing customized trips for some of our members. In fact, the Thunder Bay chapter is going to be going off to China with Carlson Wagonly, and then following that up with a trip to the Black Sea, I believe. So that's kind of exciting, and that kind of thing, that customized trip, is possible with all of our different chapters. And Carlson Wagonly has 170 offices across the country. We have the new no-fee cashback Zoomer card that was introduced this year. That includes a program called Best Doctors, which is included right in with the card. All you have to do is make a qualifying purchase, and you get access to this program called Best Doctors, which allows you to get a second opinion in the event that you fall ill with a critical illness like a cancer, heart disease, some serious thing where you'd want to get a second opinion done. We've just recently introduced a new vision care program. This is a program where people can get discounts on these kinds of glasses. In fact, I'm wearing a sample of these glasses right now. This is a high definition invisible bifocal lens that I got a discount on from our new provider, Digital RX. We're talking to a number of national retailers and a couple of restaurant chains, a big golf course management company that hopefully they may be able to provide some unique benefits to some of our members. So I think it'll be an exciting year going forward.
Well, this has been an extraordinarily busy and rewarding year, I suppose, just as a 25th anniversary year should be. And we started in 2008 with about a dozen chapters. And we're now up to 32 with another half dozen pending their confirmation. Our goal is to really have about 50 chapters within the next year. We've taken Moses out on what we call the national tour. And this year alone, we've had Moses out in 14 different cities, literally across Canada, from Victoria to St. John's, Newfoundland, and points in between in the prairies, Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario, throughout the country, to raise the sense of what we're trying to do, to connect with our chapters, to connect with our members, and to make sure that the media locally also understand and get the message of what CARP is all about. So the national tour has been a big part of the strategy of how do we get our message out? How do people meet Moses? How do we make sure that there's a sense of Let's get involved in this. Let's be proud CARP members. And the national tour, I must say, has been a big part of that. For the first time, and this is perhaps one of our most significant developments, and one that I think we're all very proud of, and that is to launch the Pink chapter.
Any of the gay men that I know, none of them are embracing getting older. No one wants to think about it getting old. I don't think anybody wants to be around anybody old.
The Pink chapter is another way for us to be inclusive, to bring people in and say CARP can be part of the solution and the team that you need to work with to face issues you're facing. And it's similar to what we want to do with the ethnocultural communities as well. Maybe we have to build individual chapters that pertain to their interests. Another thing that we want to do more of and get some breakthroughs in is have our chapter representatives act as local media spokespersons on CARP issues. Susan is out doing that at a national level and increasingly doing it at a local level. But we need to train and we need to build some comfort so our local chapter board members can play that role as spokesperson on issues with the local media and get the media to be much more aware of what's going on in our chapters right across the country. I think we've also got some plans in the work with some of our chapters to take something like our annual Zoomer show, which is held here in Toronto, and take that out into the community. We're working with the London group right now to see whether there's enough scale and enough interest in the community to have a London Zoomer show. We've got discussions underway in Calgary for the same idea that we can have, because these are all ways to, again, demonstrate that vitality of what CARP is all about in its new vision of aging. As everybody knows, Canada is a large, diverse country, and everything shouldn't and can't come out of Toronto. Our strength is going to be building that network of chapters that have regional voice and play that two-way communications role with the national office.
What impressed me about this project and what made me want to come and work here was the fact it was as much a movement as a magazine. And I feel deeply honored and quite humbled by the fact that we have so much work to do. And there are so many things that people need to know about what CARP stands for, and also what people need to feel about the process of aging. So I take it's a great responsibility. And myself and the team here, the editorial team, the marketing team, the advertising team, works really, really hard to make sure that we can do the best possible job to get the message out to Canada and the world. We're getting great reaction. It's very positive, and it also tells us what they'd like to see in the magazine. We have an ongoing discussion with the CARP part of the organization, with the VPs of advocacy, benefits and community, to make sure that their information and what's important to them every month is going into the magazine for the 9 months the 9 issues that we do have. We've also endeavored to be more involved in what CARP is doing. So for instance, I've gone on some of the speaking tours, which was a great experience for me in terms of learning and understanding what members would like to see and how they feel about things. And also we have sent reporters to cover the speaking tours that we have not been on, and made sure that they're reflected in the magazine. So we like the feedback and keep it coming.
What we've done is we've diversified the message, and they've responded very positively to that. In the past, we've stressed the benefits, and of course the benefits are hugely important because it makes the case in such obvious terms. You lay out X amount of money, you get back twice as much, or at least twice as much, if not more, in discounts. But in addition, CARP is doing very important things in advocacy. There are very important things in community, and we're finding that people want to hear about that, they want to know about that. because it makes them feel a little bit more emotional pride in the organization. It isn't just dollars and cents, it's a little bit richer and deeper. And it's paying tribute a bit more to the work they're doing in all the communities. So we've had very good feedback. And as we try to make the brand, the CARP brand, richer and deeper and maybe a little more emotional going forward, I think that it'll even be stronger. There's a huge appetite for a lot more content and information around some of these policy and advocacy issues. You know, they're complicated issues, pension reform, healthcare reform. There's a lot of appetite for CARP to take the lead in bringing people more information and possibly even staging events. Susan Ang and I have talked about staging a public forum, let's say, on healthcare reform or on pension reform. So we look to do that a lot more in the future. And I think we're going to leverage the internet a lot more, because the internet is a very good way of getting that kind of material in front of a lot of people, not just in the written word, but in video. And I think the watchword for 2010 is going to be a lot more video on the CARP website, 50plus.com, leveraging all of our properties to the benefit of CARP, so that we're not just communicating on the CARP website, but we're promoting CARP better everywhere in the companies.
2008-2009 generated an enormous amount of positive media coverage for CARP, which is one of the key factors in establishing the organization as Canada's most trusted association serving Canadians as we age. I think one of the biggest challenges is translating all of this positive media exposure into membership. In a relatively short period of time, we have made big inroads in this area, thanks to great leadership, consistent, an enlightening message, a more visible team, a more vocal team, and perhaps the best evidence of this is the fact that the CARP name is starting to stand on its own without being associated with the word retired, which we know represents fewer and fewer of our members and has deterred many others from joining. Our March to a Million message is definitely gaining momentum. We need to create greater national awareness for Susan Ang and for the issues she represents, and we need to promote our benefits. On that front, we're actually starting to work more and more with our affinity partners to do collaborative messaging and PR strategies.